Welcome to the Spotlight Series. I'm your host, Scott Nerney. It's Tuesday night at the Queeset Inn. We have a fantastic show for you. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this information. It's fantastic information tonight. John and Connie from Plan RI, welcome to the Spotlight Series.
Thank you. It's good
Give us a little background of yourselves.
So, Connie and I have lived in Rhode Island for about 50 years or a little more, and we are the parents of 3 adult sons now, 2 of whom have pretty significant disabilities. And as it became obvious that they had these disabilities, we were encouraged to learn more, be more engaged and more involved, and try to do what we can to, kind of improve the quality of their life, and at the same time try to improve the quality of other people's lives. So that's what we've been trying to do. Pretty much spare time. I'm a retired professor from Brown University, and Connie has been a special ed teacher. She's been a director of some other programs. Has also been involved in a lot of work with URI, gerontology, and so we spent a lot of time thinking and working around the whole area of how to improve the quality of life of people with disabilities, either born with or acquired as we age.
Okay. And tell us what Plan RI stands for.
Plan RI stands for Personal Lifetime Advocacy Networks of Rhode Island. The title really describes our mission. Our mission is to help people develop a plan for the future. We have long learned that people with disabilities' major challenge in life is loneliness and isolation that comes from that disability. So we've been working hard at helping families plan for when they're not around, to plan for how to make sure that their child is not lonely and isolated, something that parents really work hard to prevent while parents are still alive.
I'd like to just add that we didn't invent this program. It was, there is a plan organization in Canada that really established this procedure, and we're deeply indebted to the groundbreaking work that they did to have a formula that's been working for them for well over 30, 35 years now.
So talk a little bit about, the emotional and obviously financial portion of not planning. Whether it's thinking, well, I'll get to it someday, or I can't mentally meet that challenge at the moment, or financially it doesn't work out today. That can take its toll rapidly and forever.
Yes, yeah. So what we say to families all the time, you need to have a plan. You need to do something, because if you don't, your son or daughter is going to be left alone with no opportunities for much of anything other than being totally dependent on the services that are provided by the state and federal government. Although those are pretty generous here in Rhode Island, they're not adequate to make sure that people have a good quality of life. In fact, if you look, no plan results in a plan for isolation, loneliness, and homelessness probably. And so most families don't want that to happen. So they all try to do something, depending on how much they know and how much help they've had. They kind of create various gradations of the amount of help that they get.
So, what we say is we're very grateful for the governmental programs that are out there. They provide a level of support that is funded by by Medicaid, right? And if you think of a piece of fabric, Scott, if you think of those government-funded programs as the fibers that go one direction, and then you weave in the supports that result in a good life for a person with disabilities, the kind of life that provides all the things that we're thankful for around our Thanksgiving table, that provides the other fibers in that net, and nobody falls through when they have both.
So tell us a little about the lessons you've learned from the Creative Housing Alternatives study.
So we were interested in helping families think about what's going to happen in terms of where their sons or daughters are going to live. And in Rhode Island, there are a small number of options. The most frequently thought of is the group home kind of living arrangement, where a group 4, 5, 6 people with similar kinds of disabilities are housed together. That kind of environment, by necessity, is highly regulated, highly controlled, and individuals have very little opportunity for personalizing and their lives. So we said, let's see what's going on all over North America. And what we discovered is that there are other alternatives that allow people to live a more personalized, individualized kind of life. And the lesson that we took from that is that it is possible to do that if you have the ability to be surrounded by people who know you and care about you. In other words, if you have a support network that is not paid to care about you, but cares about you because you're family, because you're a friend, because you're somebody that other people know. So that's been our message lately. It is possible for our children to live quite independently, but only if they have a network that supports that independent living.
And I kind of liken it from the research that I did on your program to if I was to think when a loved one passes away, besides the financial and the burial and everything that just happens, but you look around and you see all the family and friends you have around you. For someone that's has a disability that may or may not quite understand what's happening, physical or mental, if suddenly someone's not there, without that network of family or friends, they're all alone in a strange place with strange food, strange knowings. Right? So it's really a benefit that you've worked to try to shorten that time frame and make the adjustment much better.
Yes, that's absolutely true. There's another element, too, that's equally important, and that is when parents are gone, often that individual has lost his most important ally and advocate and not caregiver, but someone who cares about them.
Right.
And it is the membership of that network that steps in and provides that kind of support. And that may not seem as important in the beginning, but we know rules change, government policies change, funding strategies change. And if you as an individual with a disability don't have someone who can look out for your best interest, you might end up being totally disconnected from what is really an important lifeline for you.
And one of the things that your group does is to be inclusive of the whole family group. It's not just about the person with disabilities. It's bringing everybody into the picture, correct?
Right. Everybody is involved at some level, whatever level. Many families have the hope that when mom and dad are gone, that the siblings of that person with a disability will step in. Sometimes that's true. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's not necessarily because the siblings don't want to do it. It's because, well, they did something strange like moved from Rhode Island to California or to Hawaii. They moved away and they're no longer able to be that close ally and advocate. Sometimes people, they move ahead and they marry people who maybe aren't so sure that they want to be that committed to that brother or sister.
Right.
Sometimes something happens and there is tragedy or catastrophe in the family that wants to help but no longer can.
So you said we bring in the entire family, but Scott, if you think of a target with the vulnerable individual at the bullseye in the center, and the closest relationships to that person are the family around them. What Plan Rhode Island does is it works to create a network that includes neighbors, co-workers, fellow congregants, people who share the same hobby, people who share the same ethnicity. Whatever the bridge is that becomes a relationship for any of us, we fill in those additional circles that are further beyond the family, and a network includes all of those people. Our son Mark, about 30 people in his personal support network that come from all walks of life. One of them is a professor that he was able to audit classes. He certainly wasn't able to do the homework, write the papers, take the tests, but he was interested in geography and was fascinated by the stories, the maps, the understanding of all the things he learned in those classes. And that professor calls him every week. They have a conversation. They end each conversation with a geography fact. And that is a wonderful member of Mark's network.
And tell us a little bit about the facilitator role. I know you're looking for additional folks to do that. So explain a little bit about what the role is and what you're looking for.
Sure. So facilitators in our system are the individuals who help the family reach out and bring back into a relationship people who have known their son or daughter before. Maybe a former teacher, maybe a former caregiver, maybe a classmate. Because what we're trying to do, as Connie said, we're trying to look out for people who have known that individual with a disability and have developed some kind of relationship, and we're trying to bring them back into their life to kind of remind them that they're still here, that they had a really good relationship at some point. Sometimes that relationship was facilitated by the fact that it was employment, but they moved on to a different job or whatever. So we will try to get a person to go out and help reach back, reintroduce, and then help the family do something that's really important. And that is a good network is a group of people who not only know the person at the center, but they also know each other. So we try to encourage and facilitate opportunities for all the members of the network to know each other, to kind of recognize the different aspects or different contributions that everybody's making, so that we have, as Connie said, that full-blown tapestry where everything is covered. That's the facilitator.
Just to summarize or recap what John has already said, the role of the facilitator then is to build and maintain the support network. The facilitator is the one person in all of this who is paid. And that is a job that we value greatly. I don't know if this is the place to say what the rate of pay is for facilitators. Do you want to do that, then?
Sure.
They receive $35 an hour, but they only work 2 to 6 hours a month, just to keep that network going.
For that particular network.
Right. And they bring the network together 3 or 4 times a year, maybe for a holiday, maybe for a backyard cookout, maybe for a birthday, so that people do get to know not only the person at the center, but one another. Because when the time comes that John and I or any other parents of one of our precious members are no longer able to provide the extensive supports that we do, sometimes these network members help the person do some problem solving, weigh the pros and cons of an important decision, help them see how someone may be taking advantage of them in some way. And their role as members of the network is very, very important. And the facilitator who keeps them engaged with the person on a regular basis is central to a successful support network.
Okay. And you mentioned this very little payment going out for that for overall, but I know donations are a big key to what you do. So you're accepting donations to the organization?
We do. We've been seeking and have been receiving funding from various foundations, and also anyone can donate to us at any time. They can do it through our website, planri.org. When we first started, nearly 25 years ago, we were kind of a membership organization, parents who saw this as an important function that needed to be done, that frankly they didn't have time to do or couldn't do. They joined, paid a membership fee, and then paid for the services of our facilitators. Since then, the field of supporting people with developmental disabilities has moved on. They've recognized that this dealing with this isolation and loneliness is probably the most important thing that we can do. And so now the state, under some circumstances, most circumstances, is willing to pay for membership in our organization and pay for the services of the facilitators that we provide them.
And whether families pay out of pocket or whether they use their son or daughter's service hours, that facilitator gets paid at a rate of $35 an hour.
Yeah, and then we also encourage families, when they do their financial planning for the future, to recognize that they want this kind of activity to continue. So we encourage them to make sure that they leave sufficient funds and instructions to maintain the viability of these networks.
So give the website again so people who are interested can reach out.
Sure, it's www.planri.org. planri.org.
Okay. Guys, thank you so much for coming. It's a great wealth of information that you have, and to understand the effect that you have on someone today, tomorrow, and what's left behind, the legacy that you're providing to them and their generation is priceless. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank
Thank
you for
you,
having
Scott.
us. Yep.
Thank you.